Well, a couple things today. One thing, I'm going to cut this down and weld it in, and then I'm going to finish up my braces here and put in my accelerator and cut my firewall to where this should go, and try to mock up my steering. If I can get that done, that'll be a pretty good day's work, so that's what I'm going to do. The thing I'm going to do is take off my fender bolts here, so my plate will fit down in across the frame good, and I'll set it right on the frame, right in this area here. I've notched it for this. Once that's on, I'll clamp it, put my bolts back in it, make sure it's all square, and this will probably be a good time to maybe drill a hole in this just so it doesn't leak water or hold water, and clean up this area here. Same thing on this side, and then I can weld in my plate. Next, we had somewhat of a trick. What I've done is sprayed a little paint here right where my where I want to get this cut, just to kind of mark it. I'll have to remember how big I got, and I'll try to cut this to the right size. It's a pretty decent job. You can see a little crack there, about 1/8 of an inch. Right where I have it marked with the tape there, it's a little too big. And what that's doing is holding this out. See, this is about 1/8 of an inch. And probably right there in this little curve area, I'm going to have the same kind of problem. But it's very close here. So I think once it's up, and of course if I raise it, that'll bring that curve up higher and it'll fit even better. But right now I'm right at the top of this where I wanted it, so I can get a good weld on it, nice clean bead. So I'm just going to grind this area off here a little bit and massage it a bit. But all in all, it looks like I did a pretty good job of cutting it up where it'll go into that back piece and I can weld it. After a bit of grinding, I got this one here where it's pretty close. I clamped it here on the top. It looks like it's going in. This one here is, I still cut that out just a little bit too big, but always, you know, a little too big is better than a little too small. I got a little too high right here, but this is all get ground down. So what I'm going to do is use my cutoff tool right here instead of trying to grind this whole piece down. It takes forever. I'm just going to cut a little more off of this edge, and that should drop right in. I got it where it fits good all the way around. It's all going in. I'll do just a little pounding on it with a hammer. Looks like I might have a place right here that might just be a little off. To center it good. Yeah, I got room over here. Once I get it centered, then where I know it'll all push in, the metal's actually bent a little bit. But then I'll just start tacking this thing in, and I'll press it in a little and tack it and press it and tack it until I get it all down. I assume that this body's straight. Well, not really. Looks like the body might be a little crooked, but definitely the steel's got a slight curve in it a couple ways. There's a big sheet, they lean it up against stuff. But I'll clamp this all down before I start. I'll tack it in good, then weld it solid. That's all in. Tacked up good. all flush. I've got it right where I want to go. Want it to go. Now I'm gonna crank my heat up and try to run me some nice beads around here as much as I can. Try not to burn through it. Pretty heavy metal, so I should be able to do a good job. And then I can grind it down and prime it. Now I tried a couple techniques trying to weld this. Neither one of them worked well. Either just made a really crappy weld or burned through. I've got two things I'm welding uphill, and then I've got a thin piece and a thick piece. But at least it's in there and it's pretty solid. That's the main thing. I'll be able to weld a good bead across the top. I can just grind this down and clean it up good with Bondo, I think. It'll look fine. Took more time than I was planning on again, but I grinded it all down, ground it down. I cleaned it up pretty good with my weld spatter tool. This here is pretty well dented up and bent. I'll try to straighten it out later. But for now, that's good enough. I'm just going to prime my bare metal here. This will be partially done project. Well, there we go. Turned out pretty decent. I got a lot of little tiny holes and stuff in it, but that was from trying to weld into that thin metal, and the thick metal is sticking out a little further than everything, so I'll be able to Bondo this back of this up, and it'll all be fine. Looks like I got a bit of a curve in it right there. Nobody will ever notice that, I don't think. I can use a porta power or something to bend it straight if I wanted to. But all in all, pretty much a done deal.